Tonight, we gather together with fellow Jews all over the world. We celebrate Passover, the oldest of Jewish holidays. For centuries, it was the Pesach Haggadah that Jews turned to whenever they suffered oppression or injustice. The story of the Exodus of the Israelites from Egypt was a constant assurance that they too would be delivered from tyranny. We live in a new world today, confronted with new conditions, but one problem remains: how to keep alive our faith and love of freedom in the face of setbacks. The message of the Haggadah needs to be transposed into modern thought and modern experience in order to reach the minds and the hearts of our people. A major aspect of the Seder is joy, and to enjoy it we must all participate. So let us start with the singing of Hine Ma Tova. And here is the opening phrase and the song as it was written. Hine Ma Tova Lecho, Shevet Achim Kam Yachad. Hine Ma Tova Lecho, Shevet Achim Ban Yachad. Page 3, we have the blessing of the candles done by Carole Singer, my wife.
We start this festive occasion with the lighting of the festival candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshana b'mitzvozov v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov.
We praise you, O God, the majestic sovereign of all life, who hallows our lives with commandments and bids us kindle the festive holy lights. Our story tells that in 4 different words, God gave promises of freedom to our people. Therefore, tonight we will have 4 cups of wine, and you will have a bottle of wine at your table. And my suggestion to you is that you sip the wine instead of drinking the entire glass, because we will not furnish you with a bottle each time you run out of wine. So we appreciate your cooperation, and may believe you will have 4 glasses, but you're going to have 1 glass and 4 sips. We will drink 4 cups of wine as we interpret each word. Votseti, and I will bring you out of the land of bondage. This cup will symbolize our religion, which makes this day holy and sanctifies our observance. The Vitsalti, and I will deliver you. This cup stands for freedom, which enables us to enjoy a life in pursuit of happiness. Vigalti, and I will redeem you. Let this cup remind us that home, family, and friends enable us to share our love. Valkachti, and I will select you to be my chosen people. This for us shall be a cup of peace. Shalom is the hope and dream for a better world. And now we will turn to page 4, and we will first sing the blessing of the wine. We'll do the Baruch, and then later we'll recite the remainder. So, the first cup of wine, you may drink that now, and we will then recite Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bochar b'nviim tovim v'romemonu mikol ason v'kiddishanu b'mitzvosov v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yavo moedim u'simecho Hagim uzmanim l'soson Es Yom Chag HaMatzos Hazeh, Zeman Cheruseinu, Mikra Kodesh, Zecher Litzias Mitzroyim, Kivonu, Vohar Tov Yosonu, Kidashto, Mikol Omim, Umoadei Kodshecho, Besimachov Soson, Hinchaltonu, Baruch Ato Adonai, Mikadesh Yisroel, V'hazmanim. You may drink the wine if you haven't already done so. And on page 7, Blessed is the Lord who hallows the house of Israel and the festivals. Baruch Ato Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, she'echeyonu v'kimonu v'higionu lazman hazeh. Now you turn to page 8. Before I get into the symbols, I really want to make a point. Perhaps I might have opened this way, but this whole Seder is a moment of appreciation and gratitude. Gratitude to Jill Ross, to Frank Garcetti, to John Bunch, and of course, Gail Chase. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this service together. All right, I did that. Excuse me. Page 8, we are going to simply review. This, of course, given the situation we're in, given having to do a service during a horrible time of COVID-19, we may have to edit here and there. Please bear with us if that comes and you say, well, why did you skip that? Okay, on the symbols, the first symbol on the Seder plate is the harosis, a mixture of apples, wines, and nuts, representing the mortar which was used in making of the bricks in the slaves of Egypt. The roasted egg symbolizes the extra festival offering that was made in the temple during the ancient pilgrimage festivals, of which Passover is one. The karpas recalls nature's importance in our lives. Passover was a spring, during the ancient pilgrimage festivals. The karpas recalls nature importance in our lives. Passover was a spring agricultural festival when the brown earth becomes green again. The salt water is used for dipping, as prescribed in the Haggadah. It reminds us of the tears shed by the oppressed Israelites in Egypt. The other three symbols are the most important and go far back in tradition. Rabbi Gamaliel, who lived at the end of the 1st century, taught, "Whosoever does not mention the three symbols of Passover has not fulfilled his duty." The first of these, Pesach, or Paschal Lamb, is represented by the zroa, the roasted bone of the Paschal Lamb. The second is maror, the bitter herb, which echoes the Torah inscription, "The Egyptians made their lives bitter with hard labor in mortar and brick and in all manner of work in the field." The third and most important is the matzah, which recalls that the dough prepared by our people had no time to rise before the final act of redemption. And so they baked unleavened cakes of dough, since they had been driven out of Egypt and could not delay. And finally, the ceremony of the breaking of the middle matzah is called the yachatz. One half will be the afikomen, a Greek word meaning desert. Dessert. It will be hidden and must be found and eaten before the Seder can be concluded. We all remember this custom, which motivated children to find it and redeem it. I'm sure you all remember from your family Seders at home that the youngster who got it would get a quarter. These days, they may get a share of stock in some successful corporation, who knows. However, the thought is the same. The other half is called the bread of affliction, a symbol of poverty and suffering.
Performing these rituals, we ourselves taste the bitterness of slavery and experience the joy of freedom. Thus God makes himself known to us again in our day as the author of history, assuring us that the liberty to pursue happiness, to create beauty, to perform deeds of kindness, to find fulfillment in life are the rights and privileges of all men and women, and that the task of achieving a society where these goals may be realized is our special responsibility.
We now turn to page 10.
The spring season brings the joyful rebirth of nature and is a token of hope, beautifully described in the Song of Songs. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of singing is come, and the voice of the turtle dove is heard in the land. The fig tree puts forth her green figs, and the vines in blossom give forth their fragrance.
And now on page 10, I will chant a prayer which celebrates, in effect, the matzah. Halachmo, ani yodia v'cholo, avchonom, be'arom, the Mitzrayim, kol dechfiv, Adonai say, vayel kol ditzrich yaseh, vayosach hashoti ochom, lasonom habo beotzo de Yisrael, Hoshato avdi l'shano habo b'nei horiv. On page 11, we'll say the blessing. Lead Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei peri ha'adomo. Praised be thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the earth. And now we turn to page 12. The Seder tells the story of our festival of freedom. We strive not only for physical freedom, but from liberation from all those enslavements that warp the spirit and destroy the soul. We can be enslaved in many ways. We can be shackled by our emotions, by laziness, by cowardice, by intolerance and greed, by envy and prejudice. Pesach calls upon us to put an end to all slavery. It encourages enslaved people in all ages and inspired the beautiful spiritual, "Let my people go," which we will all sing. Ready? Okay. When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Ordinarily, the next section of our Seder is recited by young people, by children if they're available. We have had some success in the past. This is my third Seder with you, and one Seder there were no children, and the second Seder there were children who volunteered to do it. And I thought that was incredible. But tonight is a different night, and it is different from all other nights, given where we are and what is happening. And so I will recite the Hebrew, and Carole will say it in English. And I'm talking about the Fir Kashas, or the 4 questions. Ma nishtano halaylo hazeh, ochlino meitzu matzot, halaylo hazeh kulo matzot.
On all other nights we may eat either leavened or unleavened bread, but on this night only unleavened bread.
Shebakol halaylos onu ochlin shor yirokos, halaylo hazeh moror.
On all other nights we eat all kinds of herbs, but on this night we eat especially bitter herbs.
Shebakol halaylos ein onu matbilin afilu pamechos, halaylo hazeh shetei fomim.
On all other nights we need not even once dip our herbs in any condiment, but on this night we dip herbs twice, one herb in salt water and the bitter herbs in haroset.
Shebakol halaylos ein ochlin ben yoshvenu vein mesubim, halaylo hazeh kulonu mesubim.
On all other nights we eat either sitting or reclining, but on this night we recline, but we're really not reclining.
Okay, on page 14, there are, of course, recitations each year about the 4 types of children. The Aineni Yodea Lishol, who does not know enough to inquire, is the first and youngest of the group. For him we will recount the story so he will know it in the future. The second is the simple person, the Tam. We tell him the story, or her, because he or she, whenever I say him or he, I will try to remember that the women and girls are part of this too, and I'll recite it. If I miss it, forgive me. We will tell the story because he may want to know, but is too shy to ask anything except what happened. The third is the Rasha, the rebellious, irreverent, scornful one. He asks, what does this service mean to you? And when he says you and not us, he excludes himself from the people of Israel. To him we can say, you cannot be an outsider, denying your loyalty to your people, even against your will. The world will not let you forget. It is because the Lord brought us, not you, out of Egypt, and that we are here. If you had been there, you would not have been found worthy of being redeemed. The Chacham, the wise child, loves Pesach. He wants to celebrate the holiday and asks all sorts of questions. He must be told all there is to be told about this festival and its customs. Let us all be wise tonight. Everything in this Seder has meaning, and it is incumbent upon us to recount the exodus from Egypt and to search, explain, and understand every word. Indeed, to dwell upon it at length is considered praiseworthy. So let us begin the story of Passover.
In the time of Joseph, when his family came to Egypt, they numbered 70 souls. There they prospered and multiplied. Generations later, there arose over Egypt a new king who knew not Joseph.
This king, the Pharaoh, saw a threat in the growing number of Israelites. He commanded that all male babies born to Israelites should be cast into the river. One woman named Jochebed placed her infant son in a basket by the river's bank, where he was found by Pharaoh's daughter, who raised him as an Egyptian prince and called him Moses. When he was grown, he killed an Egyptian taskmaster who was abusing Hebrew slaves, and slaves at that time were placed under the most strenuous, unbelievably difficult tasks of lifting tremendous stones to build buildings and pyramids, etc. And so he did that, and he had to flee as a result. He went to the land of Midian, where he became a shepherd. And then, in a vision of a burning bush, he was commanded by the Lord to return to Egypt and lead the children of Israel out of bondage. Go ahead, read 20.
Again and again, Moses and his brother Aaron stood before Pharaoh, demanding that the Israelites be allowed to leave. Each time Pharaoh refused, the Lord inflicted plagues on the country. The 10th and final plague was the death of Egyptian firstborn males.
Let us recount the plagues in ancient chant. Dam, blood, sepharda, frogs, kinim, lice, out of flies, dever, cattle blight, boils, barad hail, arbe, locusts, chosek, darkness, makat beshoro, the striking down of the firstborn. When Pharaoh's own firstborn was stricken, he gave permission for the Israelites to leave. After their departure, he changed his mind and sent his men in pursuit. The Lord caused the waters of the Red Sea to divide, and the Israelites crossed over safely, thus ending a sojourn of 430 years of slavery.
When the waters closed upon the pursuing Egyptians, the Israelites, according to Jewish law, began to sing. The voice of God was heard saying, "How can you sing when the Egyptians, who are also my children, are drowning?" This too we must remember and never forget.
And how many powerful deeds and wonderful deeds did God perform for us on page 17? Had he brought us out of Egypt and not parted the Red Sea? Dayenu. Enough. Wasn't that enough? Had he parted the Red Sea and not brought us through safely? That alone should have been enough. Dayenu. Had he brought us through safely and not sustained us in the wilderness for 40 years? Dayenu. And let us sing. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Had he sustained us in the wilderness for 40 years and not fed us with manna? Dayenu. Enough. Had he fed us with manna and not given us the Sabbath? Should that not have been enough? Dayenu. Had he given us the Sabbath and not brought us to Mount Sinai? Dayenu. Once again. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Had he brought us to Mount Sinai and not given us the Torah? Dayenu. Had he given us the Torah and not brought us into the land of Israel? Dayenu. How much more then are we to be grateful to God for the wonderful deeds he performed for us? We must constantly remind ourselves that there are great problems for us to overcome.
For if we are to end a single genocide, but not stop the other wars that are killing men and women as we sit here, it would not be sufficient. If we were to end those wars, but not disarm the nations of the weapons that could destroy all mankind, it would not be sufficient. If we were to disarm the nations, but not end the pollution and poisoning of our planet, it would not be sufficient.
On this night, of our Seder on page 18. We remember with reverence the 6 million of our people who perished at the hands of Hitler, a man more wicked than the Pharaoh who enslaved our people in Egypt. The cruelties of the Pharaoh, Haman, Nebuchadnezzar, and Titus cannot be compared to the diabolical devices contrived to exterminate a whole people. No generation has witnessed genocide so vast and so tragic. We cannot forget, we must not forget the concentration camps and the crematoria of Auschwitz, Bergen-Belsen, Dachau, Treblinka, and others. The burning of the synagogues, sages and teachers, all those who could tell the story of man's inhumanity to man. The Warsaw Ghetto tells us there will always be people like Judah Maccabee and Bar Kokhba who rise up against our adversaries. It was a time for greatness and self-sacrifice. By their martyrdom, we have been inspired to work for all people who are not yet free.
On this festival, the Levites sing their psalms of praise, the Hallel. In every generation, we sing and give thanks to him who did wonders for our fathers and for us. He brought us from slavery to freedom, and from sorrow to joy, from mourning to festivity, from darkness to light, and from bondage to redemption. Let us express our joy and gratitude. Blessed be the name of the Lord from this time forth and forever. Hallelujah.
And now we will have the second cup of wine. It is the cup of deliverance of Vitzalti. We now raise our cups for the second time and recite the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, parei pari hagafen. May it be your will, our God and God of our ancestors, to grant us life, bring us in peace to many more festivals, holy days, and happy occasions. On page 20, a quick review, somewhat edited, but one which I think is essential to review at this time. We now return to the basic symbols on our ceremonial plate. You pointed it. I do first.
Just a piece of
The first is the matzah that we broke in two. Each of us will take a piece, and together we will recite two blessings, one for unleavened bread and the other for the commandment to eat it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We praise you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivonu al achilas matzah.
We praise you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has sanctified us by your commandments and has commanded us to eat matzah.
In the four questions, we asked why we dip twice in the karpas and the salt water. For our second dipping, we now combine maror, the bitter herb, with the korosis. You want to just point that out? With the korosis between two pieces of matzah. This was the practice of Hillel. At the time, the temple in Jerusalem was still in existence. He combined the unleavened bread and the bitter herbs and ate them together to carry out the injunction concerning the Passover sacrifice. With unleavened bread and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Thus we are reminded how bitter slavery is and how it can be sweetened by God's redemption. We recite together, first in Hebrew and then in English, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvot tov al achilas moror. Praise be thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by your commandments and commanded us to eat the bitter herbs. And now I'm going to stop for a moment because ordinarily, at this point, you would eat the meal. And you will eat a meal. However, since I would like to get aspects of the second half of the Seder into our program today, I'm going to assume you ate the meal, and we go from now to page 22. And you call for the afikomen. It has been hidden. The child will look under chairs and couches and files and drawers, and none of them will come up with it except the youngest generally. He found it under his shoe or somewhere like that. And he will be rewarded. He will be rewarded.
We have eaten our Passover meal as free people, for which we thank, praise, and bless the Eternal. With loving kindness, goodness, and grace, God has provided food for all. With justice, mercy, and compassion, God has shown us the ways of peace and happiness. On this Passover Eve, O God, may our prayers be acceptable to you.
May the one who blessed Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, may the one who blessed our mothers, bless this house, this table, and all assembled here. And so may all our loved ones share our blessing. Oseh shalom bimramov, hu ya'aseh shalom, Oleinu v'yal Yisroel, v'imru Amen. May the one who brings harmony into the spheres on high bring peace to earth for all humanity. And now we move to page 23 for a brief sip of the cup of wine. And so this will be your third cup of wine, and we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Amen. And now we move to page 24. And as we do each Seder, we have to open a door. And we have to have a full cup of wine or water. And we have to tell the children at the table, keep your eye on the water. Because at this time, Elijah, the prophet, enters from the open door. One of you, of course, will go open the door, and Elijah will enter. This ancient custom has two purposes. The first is to show the outside world that nothing mysterious is taking place in the Seder service. The second, to invite those who are hungry to come and join us and eat.
In our Jewish tradition, the prophet Elijah is the messenger of God, appointed to herald the era of the Messiah, the era of perfect happiness, when the Jewish people and all peoples throughout the world shall be free. Tradition has it that some of the wine in his cup is consumed by his invisible presence. We all enjoy this fantasy, and we all remember when our kids went out the door and we would each pour away some of the wine so that they really believed it.
Yes, yes. They come back and they agreed. The glass was half full. Magic, magic. No, it was Elijah having his cup. Jewish legends recall the mystical appearance of Elijah in times of trouble, to promise relief and redemption, to lift downcast spirits, and to plant hope in the hearts of the downtrodden. And so on Seder night, we invoke the memory of Elijah. May his spirit, which enters this room at this hour, inspire all people with desire to build a good world, one in which justice and freedom shall be the inheritance of all. And we sing, Eliyahu Hanovi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agiladi, Bimheron V'yameinu, im Moshiach ben David, bimheirot v'yameinu, im Moshiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanovi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagil Odi. And so we come to the fourth cup of wine, and we fill it, or we sip it, and say the prayer, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, Bari Pari Hagofen. We have celebrated this Seder as a congregational family. Many of us are separated from our children, grandchildren, and loved ones. But we are among friends, and our cup runneth over with happiness. However, although it is the Pharaoh of old who is the tyrant of this Haggadah, it is not he alone of whom we speak tonight. We speak this evening of other tyrannies and other tyrants, of poverty, of war, of power, of despair, of disease, of ignorance, and the mounting specter of anti-Semitism, both here and abroad. Passover brands such hate and tyrannies as abominations in the sight of God. And so we then move to the next page, and of course we have, in effect, for the purpose of our Seder at the Sarasota Bay Club, although somewhat edited, we only hope that you have enjoyed the Seder, that you've taken part in it, and that while you'll see us on the screen, you sing with us and speak with us and pray with us. And so I finish with the benediction. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishbochecha. May the Lord bless us and watch over us. Amen. May the Lord cause the light of his countenance to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May he cast out of all hearts the darkness of ignorance and the blight of prejudice. Amen. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon our country and render it a true home of liberty, a defender of justice. May he grant us and all mankind peace, and may he lead us out of the terror of the current problem that afflicts us all, or almost all, the coronavirus. Amen. And so we say this. We are going to point out that at the end of the service, we first would like to say that next year in the Sarasota Bay Club, with health and happiness and prosperity and all the good things in life among us. And for those people in the big cities, whether it be New York or Chicago or Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, we wish the same. And so at the end of this service, we ask God's blessing, and we also ask it upon America. And so together we shall sing as our final moment, in our final moment of the Seder, God bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Good evening, good Yontif.